This essential guide will help you develop critical thinking skills crucial for effective decision-making and problem-solving, vital for personal and professional success. Learn to identify and overcome biases, challenge assumptions, engage with diverse perspectives, and build mental resilience. Perfect for students, professionals, and anyone seeking self-improvement, this book empowers you to achieve your goals and thrive in all areas of life. Chapter 1: Introduction to Critical Thinking. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly navigate life's challenges while others struggle to make even simple decisions? The answer lies in the power of critical thinking. This transformative skill is the key to unlocking your full potential, both personally and professionally. But what exactly is critical thinking, and why is it so crucial in today's fast-paced, information-saturated world? Critical thinking is often misunderstood. It's not about being argumentative or dismissive of others' ideas. Instead, it's a disciplined approach to thinking that involves analyzing, evaluating, and synthesizing information to form well-reasoned judgments and decisions. It's the ability to step back from your immediate reactions and examine situations objectively, considering multiple perspectives and potential outcomes. Many people mistakenly believe that critical thinking is an innate talent. You either have it or you don't. This couldn't be further from the truth. Critical thinking is a skill that can be developed and honed over time, much like a muscle that grows stronger with regular exercise. By cultivating this skill, you'll find yourself better equipped to solve complex problems, make informed decisions, and navigate the uncertainties of life with confidence. The benefits of mastering critical thinking extend far beyond the classroom or workplace. In your personal life, it can help you build stronger relationships by improving your communication skills and empathy. You'll be better able to understand different viewpoints, resolve conflicts, and make decisions that align with your values and goals. Professionally, critical thinking is increasingly sought after by employers across all industries. It's the skill that sets apart leaders and innovators from those who simply follow instructions. As you embark on this journey to enhance your critical thinking skills, you'll discover that it's not just about changing how you think, it's about transforming your entire approach to life. You'll learn to question assumptions, challenge your own biases, and approach problems with creativity and open-mindedness. This book will guide you through this transformation, providing practical tools, exercises, and insights to help you develop a critical thinking mindset. In the chapters that follow, we'll explore the foundations of critical thinking, delve into the intricacies of logical reasoning, and uncover the hidden biases that can cloud our judgment. You'll learn powerful techniques for problem-solving, decision-making, and effective communication. But before we dive into these topics, we must first turn our attention inward. For to truly master critical thinking, we must first understand the complex landscape of our own minds. As we close this introductory chapter, ask yourself, are you ready to challenge your assumptions, expand your perspective, and unlock your full potential? The journey ahead may not always be easy, but the rewards are immeasurable. In the next chapter, we'll begin by exploring the fascinating world of your thought patterns, the first step in transforming your mindset for ultimate personal growth. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Grow to the Top and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. Chapter 2: Understanding Your Thought Patterns. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a vast, unexplored territory. Within its borders lie hidden treasures of insight and creativity, but also treacherous pitfalls of bias and misconception. To navigate this complex landscape effectively, you must first become intimately familiar with its terrain. This is where the journey of critical thinking truly begins, with self-awareness. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of critical thinking. It's the ability to observe your own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors as if you were an impartial spectator. This skill allows you to recognize patterns in your thinking, identify your strengths and weaknesses, and understand how your experiences and beliefs shape your perceptions of the world. One powerful technique for developing self-awareness is mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness, you learn to pay attention to your thoughts and feelings in the present moment without judgment. This can be as simple as taking a few minutes each day to sit quietly and observe the flow of your thoughts. As you do this regularly, you'll start to notice recurring themes, emotional triggers, and habitual thought patterns that you may have never recognized before. Another valuable tool for understanding your thought patterns is reflective journaling. By writing down your thoughts, experiences, and reactions, you create a tangible record of your inner world. Over time, this record can reveal insights about your decision-making processes, emotional responses, and underlying beliefs. You might notice, for example, that you tend to jump to conclusions in certain situations, or that you have a habit of catastrophizing minor setbacks. As you become more aware of your thought patterns, you'll likely encounter some uncomfortable truths. We all have cognitive biases, systematic errors in thinking that can lead to irrational judgments and decisions. These biases are deeply ingrained and often operate below the level of conscious awareness. For instance, confirmation bias leads us to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. The availability heuristic causes us to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily remembered or imagined. Recognizing these biases in yourself can be challenging, but it's a crucial step in developing critical thinking skills. By acknowledging your biases, you can begin to counteract their influence on your decision-making and problem-solving processes. One effective way to uncover hidden biases and assumptions is to seek feedback from others. This requires a willingness to be vulnerable and open to criticism, qualities that are essential for personal growth. Ask trusted friends, colleagues, or mentors for their honest opinions about your strengths and weaknesses. Their perspectives can provide valuable insights that you might miss through self-reflection alone. As you delve deeper into understanding your thought patterns, you'll likely encounter resistance from your own mind. It's natural to feel defensive or uncomfortable when confronting long-held beliefs or habits. But remember, this discomfort is a sign of growth. Embracing it is key to developing the mental flexibility necessary for critical thinking. By the end of this chapter, you should have a clearer picture of the complex landscape of your mind. But this is just the beginning. As we move forward, you'll learn how to use this self-awareness as a foundation for developing more advanced critical thinking skills. In the next chapter, we'll explore the fundamental principles of critical thinking and begin to build the toolkit you'll need to navigate even the most complex intellectual terrain. Chapter 3: The Fundamentals of Critical Thinking. Picture yourself as an explorer standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted wilderness. The terrain before you is your own mind, and the map in your hands is critical thinking. But like any skilled explorer, you need more than just a map. You need the right tools and skills to navigate this challenging landscape. In this chapter, we'll equip you with the fundamental tools of critical thinking: logical reasoning and evidence-based thinking. Logical reasoning is the backbone of critical thinking. It's the process of drawing conclusions based on evidence and sound argumentation. At its core, logical reasoning involves identifying premises, the information or assumptions you start with, and following them through to their logical conclusions. This might sound abstract, but it's something we do every day, often without realizing it. For example, consider a simple syllogism. All cats are mammals. Fluffy is a cat. Therefore, Fluffy is a mammal. This is a basic form of deductive reasoning, where if the premises are true, the conclusion must also be true. As we delve deeper into logical reasoning, you'll learn to recognize and construct more complex arguments, as well as identify flaws in reasoning known as logical fallacies. Logical fallacies are errors in reasoning that can lead to false conclusions, even when the premises seem sound. Some common fallacies include the ad hominem attack, dismissing an argument based on personal characteristics of the arguer rather than the argument itself; the false dichotomy, presenting only two options when other alternatives exist; and the slippery slope, assuming that one event will inevitably lead to a chain of related events without evidence for such a connection. By learning to recognize these fallacies, you'll not only be able to spot flaws in others' arguments, but also avoid them in your own thinking. This skill is invaluable in an age where we're constantly bombarded with persuasive messaging, from advertising to political rhetoric. But logical reasoning alone isn't enough. Critical thinking also requires a commitment to evidence-based thinking. This means basing your conclusions on verifiable facts and reliable data rather than personal beliefs, emotions, or anecdotes. It involves seeking out high-quality sources of information, evaluating the credibility of evidence, and being willing to change your mind when presented with new, compelling information. Developing this evidence-based mindset requires cultivating several key attitudes: curiosity, open-mindedness, and intellectual humility. Curiosity drives us to ask questions, seek out new information, and explore alternative perspectives. Open-mindedness allows us to consider ideas that may challenge our existing beliefs. Intellectual humility is the recognition that our knowledge is always incomplete and that we can learn from others, even or especially when we disagree with them. These attitudes form the foundation of what we might call a critical thinking mindset. This mindset is characterized by a willingness to question assumptions, including your own, a healthy skepticism towards claims that lack evidence, and a commitment to ongoing learning and growth. Developing this mindset isn't always easy. It requires us to step out of our comfort zones, confront our own biases, and sometimes admit that we were wrong. But the rewards are immense. With a critical thinking mindset, you'll be better equipped to navigate complex issues, make well-informed decisions, and engage meaningfully with diverse perspectives. As we conclude this chapter, you should have a solid grasp of the fundamental principles of critical thinking. You understand the importance of logical reasoning and evidence-based thinking, and you're developing the attitudes necessary for a critical thinking mindset. But knowing these principles is just the first step. To truly master critical thinking, we must learn to apply these skills in the face of one of the greatest challenges to clear thinking: our own cognitive biases. In the next chapter, we'll delve into the fascinating world of cognitive biases, exploring how they influence our thinking and learning powerful strategies to overcome them. Chapter 4: Overcoming Cognitive Biases. Imagine you're playing a game of chess, confident in your strategy and anticipating your opponent's moves. Suddenly, you realize that half the pieces on your side of the board were invisible to you all along. This scenario mirrors the challenge we face with cognitive biases. They're the hidden players in our mental game, influencing our decisions and judgments without our awareness. In this chapter, we'll shine a light on these invisible pieces and learn how to regain control of the board. Cognitive biases are systematic errors in thinking that affect our judgments and decision-making. They're not character flaws or signs of low intelligence. In fact, they're a natural result of our brain's attempt to simplify information processing. These mental shortcuts, or heuristics, often serve us well in everyday situations. But in complex scenarios requiring critical thinking, they can lead us astray. One of the most pervasive biases is confirmation bias, our tendency to search for, interpret, and recall information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. It's why we're quick to accept evidence that supports our views and scrutinize or dismiss evidence that contradicts them. For instance, if you believe that a certain diet is the best for health, you might eagerly share articles supporting your view while ignoring or critiquing studies that suggest otherwise. Another common bias is the anchoring effect, where we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we encounter when making decisions. This is why the initial price of a car can significantly influence negotiations, even if that price is arbitrary. The availability heuristic is yet another bias, causing us to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily remembered or imagined. This is why people often fear plane crashes more than car accidents, despite the latter being statistically more dangerous. Recognizing these biases is the first step towards overcoming them. But awareness alone isn't enough. We need strategies to counteract their influence. One powerful approach is to actively seek out information that challenges your existing beliefs. This doesn't mean you have to change your mind on every issue, but it does mean giving fair consideration to opposing viewpoints. Try following news sources or thought leaders with different perspectives than your own. Engage in respectful debates with people who hold different views. The goal isn't to win arguments, but to broaden your understanding. Another effective strategy is to practice mental flexibility. This involves deliberately considering alternative explanations or outcomes for a given situation. When you find yourself jumping to a conclusion, pause and ask, what other possibilities am I not considering? This simple question can open up new avenues of thought and help you avoid the pitfalls of narrow thinking. Developing a habit of seeking diverse perspectives can also help combat biases. When making important decisions, consult with people who have different backgrounds, experiences, or areas of expertise than your own. Their insights can help you see blind spots in your thinking and consider factors you might have overlooked. It's also crucial to cultivate intellectual humility, the recognition that your knowledge is limited and that you can learn from others. This attitude makes it easier to admit when you're wrong and to change your mind in light of new evidence. Remember, changing your mind isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of growth and intellectual maturity. As you work to overcome cognitive biases, you'll likely encounter resistance from your own mind. Our biases are deeply ingrained, and challenging them can feel uncomfortable or even threatening. But this discomfort is a sign that you're pushing beyond your mental comfort zone, and that's where real growth happens. By the end of this chapter, you should have a clear understanding of common cognitive biases and strategies to counteract them. You're developing the mental flexibility and open-mindedness necessary to see beyond your own perspective and consider alternative viewpoints. But recognizing biases and thinking flexibly are just part of the critical thinking toolkit. To truly master these skills, we need to apply them to real-world challenges. Are you ready to put your newfound knowledge and skills to the test? In the next chapter, we'll explore effective problem-solving techniques, learning how to approach complex issues systematically and creatively. You'll discover how to break down seemingly insurmountable problems into manageable parts and generate innovative solutions. The game is about to get more challenging and more rewarding. Chapter 5: Effective Problem-Solving Techniques. Imagine standing before a giant, tangled knot. At first glance, it seems impossibly complex, with no clear beginning or end. This knot represents the challenging problems we often face in life, daunting, intricate, and seemingly unsolvable. But armed with the right techniques, even the most complex knots can be unraveled. In this chapter, we'll explore powerful problem-solving methods that will transform the way you approach challenges. The first step in effective problem-solving is to clearly define the issue at hand. Often, what appears to be a single problem is actually a cluster of interconnected issues. By breaking down the larger problem into smaller, more manageable components, you can begin to see potential solutions more clearly. This process, known as problem decomposition, is like isolating individual threads in our metaphorical knot. Once you've identified the core components of the problem, it's time to gather information. This step is crucial and often overlooked. Many people rush to solve problems without fully understanding them, leading to ineffective solutions. Cast a wide net in your information gathering. Consider different perspectives, consult experts if possible, and look for patterns or trends that might provide insight into the problem's root causes. With a clear understanding of the problem and relevant information in hand, it's time to generate potential solutions. This is where creativity comes into play. Brainstorming is a powerful tool for this stage. The key to effective brainstorming is to suspend judgment initially and encourage a free flow of ideas, no matter how outlandish they might seem. Remember, sometimes the most innovative solutions come from seemingly crazy ideas. Once you have a list of potential solutions, it's time to evaluate them. This is where your critical thinking skills really come into play. Consider the pros and cons of each solution, their feasibility, potential outcomes, and unintended consequences. It's important to be as objective as possible during this stage, setting aside personal preferences or biases. After careful evaluation, select the most promising solution and develop an implementation plan. Break down the solution into actionable steps, assign responsibilities if working with a team, and set clear timelines. But remember, problem-solving doesn't end with implementation. It's crucial to monitor the results and be prepared to make adjustments if needed. One of the most powerful problem-solving techniques is the ability to reframe the problem. Sometimes, the way we define a problem limits our ability to solve it. By looking at the issue from different angles or perspectives, we might uncover innovative solutions we hadn't considered before. As you develop your problem-solving skills, you'll likely encounter obstacles. You might feel stuck, overwhelmed, or frustrated. When this happens, remember that these feelings are a normal part of the process. Take a step back, give yourself some mental space, and return to the problem with fresh eyes. Sometimes the solution becomes clear when we stop actively trying to force it. By the end of this chapter, you should have a robust toolkit for tackling complex problems. You understand the importance of clearly defining issues, gathering information, generating and evaluating solutions, and implementing and monitoring your chosen approach. But effective problem-solving is just one piece of the critical thinking puzzle. To truly master these skills, we need to learn how to analyze information and arguments with precision and clarity. In the next chapter, we'll delve into the art of analyzing information and arguments, equipping you with the tools to separate fact from fiction and solid reasoning from fallacious logic. Chapter 6. Analyzing Information and Arguments. Picture yourself as a detective standing at the scene of an intellectual crime. Before you lies a tangled web of claims, evidence, and conclusions. Your task? To unravel this web, separate truth from fiction, and expose faulty reasoning. This is the essence of analyzing information and arguments, a crucial skill in the critical thinker's arsenal. At the heart of this skill is the ability to dissect an argument into its component parts. Every argument, no matter how complex, can be broken down into three basic elements: claims, premises, and conclusions. Claims are assertions about what is true or what should be done. Premises are the reasons or evidence given to support the claims. The conclusion is what the argument is trying to prove or persuade you to believe. Consider this simple argument. All dogs are mammals. Fido is a dog. Therefore, Fido is a mammal. Here, all dogs are mammals and Fido is a dog are the premises, while Fido is a mammal is the conclusion. By breaking down arguments in this way, you can more easily evaluate their strength and identify potential flaws. Once you've identified the components of an argument, the next step is to evaluate the evidence. This involves asking critical questions. Is the evidence relevant to the claim? Is it reliable and from a credible source? Is it sufficient to support the conclusion? Be wary of anecdotal evidence or cherry-picked data that might not represent the full picture. As you analyze arguments, you'll often encounter patterns in reasoning. Some of these patterns are valid and strengthen an argument, while others are fallacious and weaken it. For instance, the pattern of reasoning in our Fido example, known as a syllogism, is valid. If the premises are true, the conclusion must be true. However, many arguments use invalid patterns of reasoning. For example, the slippery slope fallacy assumes that one event will inevitably lead to a chain of related events without providing evidence for this connection. If we allow same-sex marriage, next people will want to marry animals, is a classic example of this fallacy. Another common flaw in reasoning is the confusion of correlation with causation. Just because two things occur together doesn't mean one caused the other. For instance, there might be a correlation between ice cream sales and drowning incidents, but that doesn't mean ice cream causes drowning. In reality, both might increase in summer months. As you hone your skills in analyzing arguments, you'll also need to be alert to hidden assumptions and unstated premises. Often, what's not said in an argument can be just as important as what is said. For example, someone might argue, we should cut taxes to stimulate economic growth. This argument assumes that lower taxes always lead to economic growth, an assumption that should be examined critically. Developing these analytical skills takes practice. Start by applying them to everyday situations. Analyze advertisements, political speeches, or opinion pieces in newspapers. As you do this, you'll likely find that many arguments that initially seemed persuasive don't hold up under scrutiny. Remember, the goal of this analysis isn't to win arguments or prove others wrong. Instead, it's about developing a clearer understanding of complex issues and making more informed decisions. By sharpening your analytical skills, you're equipping yourself to navigate the sea of information we encounter daily, separating valuable insights from misleading claims. As we conclude this chapter, you should feel more confident in your ability to break down and evaluate arguments. You understand the importance of identifying claims, premises, and conclusions, evaluating evidence, and recognizing common patterns and flaws in reasoning. But in our increasingly interconnected world, effective critical thinking requires more than just analyzing individual arguments. We need to be able to engage with diverse perspectives and synthesize insights from multiple viewpoints. In the next chapter, we'll explore strategies for engaging with diverse perspectives, building empathy, and integrating multiple viewpoints into your decision-making process. Chapter 7. Engaging with diverse perspectives. Imagine stepping into a room where every wall is a different color, each representing a unique perspective on the world. As you move around the room, your view shifts, revealing new combinations of colors and shades you hadn't noticed before. This kaleidoscope of perspectives is not unlike the diverse viewpoints we encounter in our increasingly interconnected world. In this chapter, we'll explore how engaging with these diverse perspectives can enrich our understanding and sharpen our critical thinking skills. The value of diverse viewpoints cannot be overstated. When we expose ourselves to different perspectives, we challenge our assumptions, broaden our understanding, and often arrive at more nuanced and robust solutions to complex problems. It's like adding new colors to our palette. The more colors we have, the richer and more vibrant our picture of the world becomes. But engaging with diverse perspectives isn't always easy. It requires us to step out of our comfort zones and confront ideas that may challenge our deeply held beliefs. This can be uncomfortable, even unsettling at times. However, it's precisely this discomfort that often leads to the most significant growth and insight. One powerful strategy for seeking out alternative perspectives is to deliberately expose yourself to sources of information that challenge your existing views. If you lean liberal, read conservative publications, and vice versa. If you're a scientist, engage with literature in the humanities. The goal isn't to change your mind on every issue, but to understand different viewpoints and the reasoning behind them. As you engage with diverse perspectives, it's crucial to practice active listening. This means truly hearing what others are saying, rather than simply waiting for your turn to speak. Try to understand not just what someone is saying, but why they're saying it. What experiences have shaped their viewpoint? What values or assumptions underlie their position? Building empathy is another key aspect of engaging with diverse perspectives. Empathy allows us to see the world through someone else's eyes, even if we don't agree with their conclusions. It helps us recognize that most people, regardless of their views, are trying to do what they believe is right based on their understanding and experiences. One effective technique for building empathy and understanding diverse perspectives is the practice of steel manning. This is the opposite of straw manning, where you attack a weak or exaggerated version of someone's argument. In steel manning, you try to articulate the strongest possible version of someone else's argument, even if you ultimately disagree with it. This not only helps you understand their perspective better, but also strengthens your own critical thinking by forcing you to engage with the most robust version of opposing views. As you become more adept at engaging with diverse perspectives, you'll find that decision-making becomes both more challenging and more rewarding. You'll have a richer set of options to consider and a more nuanced understanding of the potential consequences of your choices. One useful technique for integrating multiple perspectives in decision-making is to play devil's advocate with yourself or your team. Deliberately argue against your preferred option, or assign team members to advocate for different perspectives. This can help uncover potential flaws in your thinking and lead to more robust decisions. It's important to note that engaging with diverse perspectives doesn't mean abandoning your own values or beliefs. The goal is not to achieve a bland consensus where all viewpoints are seen as equally valid. Rather, it's about enriching your understanding, challenging your assumptions, and arriving at more thoughtful and well-reasoned positions. As we conclude this chapter, you should have a deeper appreciation for the value of diverse perspectives and some practical strategies for engaging with them. You understand the importance of active listening, building empathy, and integrating multiple viewpoints into your decision-making process. But engaging with diverse perspectives is just one aspect of effective decision-making. To truly master this crucial skill, we need to explore a range of decision-making strategies that can help us navigate even the most complex choices. In the next chapter, we'll delve into powerful decision-making strategies that will equip you to tackle both everyday choices and life-changing decisions with clarity and wisdom, even in the face of uncertainty. Chapter 8: Decision-Making Strategies for Success. Picture yourself standing at a crossroads with countless paths stretching out before you. Each path represents a potential decision, and the landscape ahead is shrouded in the mist of uncertainty. This is the essence of decision-making, choosing a path forward in the face of incomplete information and unpredictable outcomes. In this chapter, we'll explore strategies to help you navigate this complex terrain with confidence and wisdom. At its core, effective decision-making is a process, not a single moment of choice. It begins with clearly defining the decision to be made and gathering relevant information. This might seem obvious, but many poor decisions stem from a failure to properly frame the problem or collect adequate data. Take the time to ensure you understand the full scope of the decision and have as much relevant information as possible. Once you've gathered information, the next step is to identify and evaluate your options. This is where your critical thinking skills come into play. Consider the potential outcomes of each option, both short-term and long-term. What are the risks and benefits? How do these options align with your goals and values? Be sure to consider not just the obvious choices, but also creative alternatives that might not be immediately apparent. One powerful tool for evaluating options is the decision matrix. This involves listing your options and the criteria that are important for the decision, then scoring each option against these criteria. This can help you objectively compare complex choices and identify the option that best meets your needs. As you evaluate your options, be aware of the balance between logic and intuition. While it's important to analyze the facts and data, don't discount your gut feelings. Intuition is often the result of subconscious pattern recognition based on past experiences. The key is to use both logic and intuition in a balanced way, rather than relying solely on one or the other. Another crucial aspect of decision-making is managing uncertainty. In many situations, we simply don't have all the information we'd like. One strategy for dealing with this is scenario planning. This involves imagining different possible futures and considering how your decision might play out in each scenario. This can help you identify potential risks and opportunities you might otherwise overlook. It's also important to be aware of common decision-making pitfalls. One of these is analysis paralysis, getting so caught up in gathering information and analyzing options that you never actually make a decision. Remember, in many cases, making a timely decision is more important than making a perfect decision. Another common pitfall is groupthink, where the desire for harmony or conformity in a group results in irrational or dysfunctional decision-making. To combat this, encourage dissenting opinions and consider appointing a devil's advocate to challenge the group's assumptions. As you develop your decision-making skills, you'll likely encounter situations where you feel stuck or overwhelmed. When this happens, try using techniques like the 5 whys, repeatedly asking why to get to the root of the problem, or the Eisenhower matrix, prioritizing decisions based on their importance and urgency. Sometimes, simply changing how you frame the problem can lead to breakthrough insights. Remember, the goal of these strategies isn't to eliminate all risk or uncertainty from your decisions. Rather, it's to help you make informed, well-reasoned choices that align with your goals and values. Even with the best decision-making process, there will always be an element of uncertainty. The key is to be comfortable with this uncertainty and ready to adapt as new information becomes available. As we conclude this chapter, you should feel equipped with a range of strategies to enhance your decision-making. You understand the importance of framing problems clearly, gathering information, evaluating options objectively, and managing uncertainty. But effective decision-making is just one piece of the puzzle. To truly thrive in our complex world, we need to develop mental resilience, the ability to adapt, learn, and grow in the face of challenges and setbacks. In the next chapter, we'll explore powerful strategies for building mental resilience, equipping you with the tools to face adversity with confidence and turn setbacks into opportunities for growth. Chapter 9: Building Mental Resilience. Imagine yourself as a mighty oak tree, standing tall amidst a raging storm. The winds howl and the rain lashes, but your roots run deep and your trunk stands firm. This is the essence of mental resilience, the ability to withstand life's storms, bend without breaking, and emerge stronger from adversity. In this chapter, we'll explore how to cultivate this vital quality and harness its power to enhance your critical thinking and overall well-being. Mental resilience is more than just toughing it out or maintaining a stiff upper lip in the face of challenges. It's a dynamic process that involves adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. Resilience allows us to bounce back from setbacks, learn from failures, and even thrive under pressure. The foundation of mental resilience lies in understanding and managing our emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring our feelings, but rather developing emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and effectively manage our emotions. By cultivating emotional intelligence, we can respond to challenges with clarity and purpose, rather than reacting impulsively based on raw emotion. One powerful technique for building emotional intelligence is mindfulness meditation. This practice involves focusing your attention on the present moment, acknowledging and accepting your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Regular mindfulness practice can help you develop greater self-awareness, reduce stress, and improve your ability to regulate your emotions. Another crucial aspect of mental resilience is developing a growth mindset. This concept, popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck, involves believing that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. People with a growth mindset view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats to their self-image. They embrace failure as a learning experience rather than a reflection of their worth. To cultivate a growth mindset, start by paying attention to your self-talk. When faced with a challenge, do you tell yourself, "I can't do this," or "I can't do this yet"? That simple addition of "yet" can shift your perspective from one of limitation to one of possibility. Practice reframing setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth. Resilience also involves building a strong support network. No one thrives in isolation. Cultivate relationships with people who support and encourage you, who challenge you to grow, and who can offer perspective when you're struggling. Remember, seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength and self-awareness. When faced with adversity, resilient individuals practice active coping strategies. Instead of avoiding problems or wishing them away, they take direct action to address challenges. This might involve breaking a large problem into smaller, manageable steps, seeking advice or resources, or developing new skills to tackle the issue at hand. One powerful coping strategy is cognitive reframing. This involves changing the way you look at a situation to alter its emotional impact. For example, instead of seeing a job loss as a catastrophe, you might view it as an opportunity to explore new career paths. By changing your perspective, you can often find silver linings in even the most challenging situations. As you work to build your mental resilience, Remember that it's a skill that develops over time. Like a muscle, resilience grows stronger with use. Each challenge you face and overcome builds your capacity to handle future adversities. Embrace challenges as opportunities to flex and strengthen your resilience muscle. By the end of this chapter, you should have a clear understanding of mental resilience and strategies to cultivate it. You recognize the importance of emotional intelligence, a growth mindset, and active coping strategies in building resilience. But resilience is just one piece of the puzzle. To truly thrive in our complex world, we need to be able to communicate our ideas effectively and engage in constructive dialogue. In the next chapter, we'll explore the intricate relationship between critical thinking and effective communication, equipping you with the tools to express your ideas persuasively and engage in productive dialogue. Chapter 10: Effective Communication and Critical Thinking. Picture yourself as a bridge builder, tasked with connecting two distant shores. The shores represent different minds, each with its own landscape of thoughts, beliefs, and experiences. Your bridge is communication, the means by which we share ideas, express emotions, and collaborate with others. In this chapter, we'll explore how to construct strong, reliable bridges of communication and how critical thinking enhances this vital skill. At its core, effective communication is about more than just transmitting information. It's about creating shared understanding. This requires not only clear expression of your own ideas, but also active listening and empathy towards others. Critical thinking plays a crucial role in this process, helping us analyze and evaluate both our own messages and those we receive from others. One of the key elements of effective communication is active listening. This involves fully concentrating on what is being said rather than just passively hearing the message. It means listening with all senses, noting body language and tone of voice, and providing feedback to ensure understanding. Critical thinking enhances active listening by helping us analyze the speaker's arguments, identify unstated assumptions, and recognize emotional appeals versus logical reasoning. When it's your turn to speak, critical thinking helps you organize your thoughts and express them clearly. Start by clearly defining your main point or argument. Then, structure your supporting points logically, using evidence and reasoning to back up your claims. Be aware of your audience and tailor your message accordingly. What background knowledge do they have? What are their potential biases or concerns? Another crucial aspect of effective communication is the ability to engage in constructive dialogue and debate. This doesn't mean trying to win an argument, but rather collaboratively exploring ideas to reach a deeper understanding. Critical thinking skills are essential here, helping you analyze arguments, identify logical fallacies, and separate emotional reactions from rational responses. One powerful technique for fostering constructive dialogue is the Socratic method. This involves asking probing questions to stimulate critical thinking and illuminate ideas. Instead of simply stating your position, ask questions that encourage others to examine their assumptions and reasoning. For example, what evidence supports that view? Or what might be an alternative explanation? Effective communicators are also adept at managing conflicts and disagreements. When tensions rise, it's easy to fall into emotional reactions or defensive postures. Critical thinking can help you step back, analyze the situation objectively, and respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. Look for common ground, acknowledge valid points made by others, and focus on interests rather than positions. As you develop your communication skills, pay attention to the power of nonverbal communication. Your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice can often convey more than your words. Use critical thinking to become more aware of your nonverbal cues and how they might be perceived by others. Remember, effective communication is a two-way street. It's not just about expressing your own ideas clearly, but also about creating an environment where others feel heard and understood. Practice empathy and try to see things from others' perspectives. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone, but understanding where they're coming from can lead to more productive conversations. In our digital age, it's also crucial to consider how these principles apply to written communication. Whether you're crafting an email, a report, or a social media post, apply critical thinking to ensure your message is clear, well-reasoned, and appropriate for your audience. Be aware of the limitations of written communication, such as the lack of nonverbal cues, and compensate for these where possible. As we conclude this chapter, you should have a deeper understanding of the intricate relationship between critical thinking and effective communication. You recognize the importance of active listening, clear expression, constructive dialogue, and empathy in building strong communicative bridges. But effective communication is just one application of critical thinking. To truly master these skills, we need to see how they apply in various real-life scenarios. Are you ready to put your critical thinking and communication skills to the test in everyday situations? In the next chapter, we'll explore how to apply these skills to real-life scenarios, from personal relationships to professional challenges, equipping you to navigate the complexities of daily life with confidence and wisdom. Chapter 11: Critical Thinking in Everyday Life. Imagine waking up one morning to find that you've been given a pair of special glasses. These aren't ordinary glasses. They're critical thinking lenses that allow you to see the world with newfound clarity, revealing hidden patterns, underlying assumptions, and potential pitfalls in every situation you encounter. In this chapter, we'll explore how to apply your critical thinking skills to everyday life, transforming the way you navigate personal relationships, professional challenges, and daily decision-making. Let's start with personal relationships. Whether it's a disagreement with a partner, a misunderstanding with a friend, or a family conflict, critical thinking can help you navigate these complex emotional waters. When conflicts arise, use your analytical skills to step back and examine the situation objectively. What are the underlying issues? Are there unstated assumptions or miscommunications at play? For example, imagine you're having a recurring argument with your partner about household chores. Instead of getting caught up in the emotion of the moment, apply critical thinking. Analyze the pattern of the arguments. Is the issue really about the chores themselves, or is it about feeling unappreciated or overwhelmed? Use active listening to truly understand your partner's perspective and clearly articulate your own thoughts and feelings. In the workplace, critical thinking is equally valuable. Whether you're solving a complex problem, making a crucial decision, or navigating office politics, your critical thinking skills can give you an edge. When faced with a workplace challenge, start by clearly defining the problem. Gather relevant information from multiple sources, analyze it critically, and generate potential solutions. For instance, let's say your team is struggling to meet project deadlines. Instead of jumping to quick fixes, use critical thinking to analyze the root causes. Is it a lack of resources, inefficient processes, unclear expectations? By thoroughly examining the issue from multiple angles, you're more likely to find effective, long-term solutions. Critical thinking is also crucial in our role as consumers and citizens. In an age of information overload and targeted advertising, it's more important than ever to think critically about the messages we receive. When you encounter a news article, advertisement, or social media post, ask yourself, what's the source of this information? What evidence is provided? Are there alternative explanations or perspectives? For example, when considering a major purchase, don't just rely on product descriptions or user reviews. Apply critical thinking to research the product thoroughly, compare alternatives, and consider long-term costs and benefits. Similarly, when evaluating political claims or policy proposals, look beyond rhetoric to examine the underlying evidence and potential consequences. In your daily decision-making, critical thinking can help you make more informed choices, big and small. Whether you're choosing a career path, deciding on a place to live, or simply planning your day, apply systematic thinking. Consider your options, evaluate potential outcomes, and be aware of your own biases and assumptions. For instance, when planning your day, don't just react to whatever seems most urgent. Think critically about your priorities. What tasks will have the biggest impact on your long-term goals? How can you allocate your time and energy most effectively? By applying critical thinking to these everyday decisions, you can gradually steer your life in a more intentional direction. Remember, applying critical thinking in everyday life doesn't mean overthinking every minor decision or becoming paralyzed by analysis. It's about developing a habit of thoughtful reflection and systematic thinking that you can apply flexibly as needed. Start small, perhaps by analyzing one news article critically each day, or by applying structured problem-solving to one workplace challenge each week. As you practice applying critical thinking to everyday scenarios, you'll likely encounter ethical dilemmas and complex moral questions. These situations often don't have clear-cut answers, but critical thinking can help you navigate them with greater clarity and confidence. In the next chapter, we'll delve into the fascinating world of ethical decision-making, equipping you with tools to navigate even the most challenging moral dilemmas. Chapter 12: Ethical Considerations in Critical Thinking. Picture yourself standing before a grand tapestry, woven with threads of diverse colors and textures. This tapestry represents the complex fabric of ethical considerations that underpin our decisions and actions. As a critical thinker, your task is not just to admire this tapestry, but to understand its intricate patterns, to see how each thread connects to others, and to weave your own decisions into this larger ethical framework. In this chapter, we'll explore how critical thinking intersects with ethical reasoning, providing you with tools to navigate moral dilemmas with clarity and integrity. At its core, ethical reasoning is about determining what is right or good in a given situation. It's a process that goes beyond personal preferences or societal norms to engage with fundamental questions of morality. Critical thinking is essential in this process, helping us to analyze complex situations, consider multiple perspectives, and arrive at well-reasoned ethical judgments. One of the first steps in ethical reasoning is to recognize ethical issues when they arise. This requires a certain level of moral sensitivity, the ability to see the ethical dimensions of a situation. Critical thinking enhances this sensitivity by encouraging us to look beyond surface-level details and consider the broader implications of our actions. For example, consider a scenario where you're offered a job with a high salary, but the company's practices are environmentally harmful. On the surface, this might seem like a simple career decision, but critical thinking would prompt you to consider the ethical implications. What are the potential environmental impacts? How does this align with your personal values? What are the broader societal consequences of supporting such practices? Once you've identified an ethical issue, the next step is to analyze it systematically. This is where various ethical frameworks can be helpful. These frameworks provide different lenses through which to view moral questions. For instance, one utilitarianism focuses on maximizing overall happiness or well-being for the greatest number of people. 2. Deontological ethics emphasizes adherence to moral rules or duties, regardless of consequences. 3. Virtue ethics concentrates on cultivating moral character and virtues. 4. Care ethics prioritizes maintaining caring relationships and responding to the needs of others. Critical thinking helps you apply these frameworks effectively, analyzing how each perspective might approach the issue at hand. It also helps you recognize the strengths and limitations of each framework, allowing you to develop a more nuanced ethical stance. As you engage in ethical reasoning, be aware of common pitfalls. One is moral relativism, the belief that all moral views are equally valid. While it's important to respect diverse perspectives, critical thinking can help you evaluate the reasoning behind different moral claims and develop your own well-founded ethical positions. Another challenge is balancing competing ethical considerations. Many real-world situations involve conflicts between different moral principles. For instance, a doctor might face a conflict between respecting a patient's autonomy and acting to save their life. Critical thinking can help you analyze these conflicts, weigh different factors, and arrive at a reasoned decision. Personal integrity is a crucial aspect of ethical reasoning. This involves aligning your actions with your ethical beliefs and being accountable for your decisions. Critical thinking plays a vital role here. helping you examine your own motivations, challenge your assumptions, and ensure consistency between your beliefs and actions. As you develop your ethical reasoning skills, you'll likely encounter situations where there's no clear right answer. In these cases, the goal of critical thinking isn't to find a perfect solution, but to arrive at a well-reasoned decision that you can justify and stand behind. This often involves carefully weighing pros and cons, considering long-term consequences, and being prepared to revise your stance in light of new information or perspectives. Remember, ethical reasoning isn't just about big, dramatic dilemmas. It's also about the small, everyday decisions that shape our character and impact those around us. How do you treat people in your daily interactions? How do you balance your personal goals with your responsibilities to others and to society? By applying critical thinking to these everyday ethical considerations, you can cultivate a more intentional and principled approach to life. As we conclude this chapter, you should have a deeper understanding of how critical thinking enhances ethical reasoning. You recognize the importance of moral sensitivity, systematic analysis, and personal integrity in navigating ethical dilemmas. But mastering critical thinking and ethical reasoning isn't a one-time achievement. It's an ongoing journey of growth and learning. In the next chapter, we'll explore strategies for continuous improvement and lifelong learning, equipping you with tools to keep refining your critical thinking skills throughout your life. Chapter 13: Lifelong Learning and Continuous Improvement. Imagine yourself as a master sculptor, standing before a block of marble. The sculpture you're creating is your mind, and the chisel in your hand represents the tools of critical thinking and lifelong learning. With each strike, you refine your creation, revealing new facets and possibilities. This ongoing process of shaping and refining your mind is the essence of lifelong learning and continuous improvement. The journey of critical thinking doesn't end with the final page of this book. In fact, it's just the beginning. True mastery comes from consistent practice, ongoing curiosity, and a commitment to growth. In this chapter, we'll explore strategies to cultivate a lifelong learning mindset and continuously sharpen your critical thinking skills. At the heart of lifelong learning is intellectual curiosity, an insatiable desire to understand the world around you. Cultivate this curiosity by asking questions, exploring new subjects, and challenging your existing knowledge. Make a habit of delving into topics outside your comfort zone. If you're a scientist, read philosophy. If you're an artist, explore economics. This cross-pollination of ideas can lead to innovative insights and enhance your critical thinking abilities. Develop a personal learning practice that works for you. This might involve setting aside time each day for reading, reflection, or skill-building exercises. Experiment with different learning methods, podcasts, online courses, hands-on projects to find what resonates with you. Remember, the goal is not just to accumulate information, but to actively engage with new ideas and integrate them into your thinking. One powerful technique for continuous improvement is deliberate practice. This involves pushing yourself just beyond your current abilities, receiving feedback, and refining your skills based on that feedback. In the context of critical thinking, this might mean tackling increasingly complex problems, seeking out challenging debates, or asking others to critique your reasoning. Create a personal critical thinking practice. This could involve regularly analyzing news articles, dissecting arguments in books or podcasts, or journaling about complex issues you encounter. The key is consistency. Make critical thinking a daily habit, and you'll see your skills improve over time. Embrace failure as a learning opportunity. When you make a mistake in your reasoning or come to a flawed conclusion, don't berate yourself. Instead, analyze what went wrong. What assumptions did you make? What information did you overlook? By treating each mistake as a lesson, you turn setbacks into stepping stones for growth. Build a network of fellow learners and critical thinkers. Engage in discussions, join book clubs or debate groups, or find a mentor who can challenge your thinking. Surrounding yourself with curious, thoughtful people can inspire you to keep growing and provide valuable perspectives that enhance your own thinking. As you continue your journey of lifelong learning, you'll likely encounter obstacles. You might face time constraints, information overload, or periods of low motivation. When these challenges arise, remember why you started this journey. Reconnect with your curiosity and your desire for growth. Sometimes, taking a step back to reflect on your progress can reignite your passion for learning. Ultimately, the goal of lifelong learning and continuous improvement is not to reach a fixed endpoint of perfect critical thinking. Instead, it's about embracing the journey itself, finding joy in the process of discovery and growth. As you cultivate this mindset, you'll find that your capacity for critical thinking expands, opening up new possibilities in every area of your life. As we conclude this chapter, you should have a clear understanding of how to make critical thinking and learning a lifelong practice. You recognize the importance of curiosity, deliberate practice, and continuous reflection in honing your skills. But as we reach the end of our journey together, it's time to look forward and consider how you'll apply these skills in the ever-changing landscape of the future. In our final chapter, we'll explore the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead, and how the skills you've developed throughout this book will serve as your compass in navigating an uncertain future. Chapter 14, Conclusion and Future Pathways. As we stand at the threshold of the future, imagine yourself as an explorer, peering out over a vast, uncharted landscape. The terrain ahead is filled with both promise and peril, technological revolutions, social upheavals, environmental challenges, and opportunities we can scarcely imagine. Your map and compass for this journey? The critical thinking skills you've honed throughout this book. In this final chapter, we'll recap the key concepts we've explored, consider how to integrate critical thinking into your daily life, and look ahead to the challenges and opportunities that await you. Most importantly, we'll explore how the skills you've developed will serve as your most valuable asset in navigating an uncertain future. Let's begin by revisiting the core principles of critical thinking we've covered. 1. Understanding and challenging your own thought patterns and biases. 2. Analyzing information and arguments with precision and clarity. 3. Problem solving using structured creative approaches. 4. Making decisions with confidence, even in the face of uncertainty. 5. Building mental resilience to adapt to challenges. 6. Communicating effectively and engaging in constructive dialogue. 7. Applying ethical reasoning to complex moral dilemmas. 8. Embracing lifelong learning and continuous improvement. These skills form a powerful toolkit that you can apply to any situation you encounter. But remember, critical thinking is not just a set of techniques. It's a mindset, a way of approaching the world with curiosity, rigor, and open-mindedness. As you move forward, focus on integrating critical thinking into your daily life. Start each day by questioning your assumptions and challenging yourself to see things from new perspectives. Approach problems at work or in your personal life with the structured thinking techniques you've learned. Practice active listening and clear communication in your interactions with others. When faced with difficult decisions, take the time to analyze your options thoroughly and consider the ethical implications of your choices. Looking to the future, it's clear that critical thinking skills will be more valuable than ever. In an age of artificial intelligence, automation, and rapidly changing job markets, the ability to think critically, solve complex problems, and adapt to new situations will be essential. Your capacity for nuanced ethical reasoning will be crucial as we grapple with the moral implications of new technologies and social changes. Moreover, in a world awash with information and misinformation, your ability to analyze claims, evaluate evidence, and draw sound conclusions will be your shield against manipulation and your key to making informed decisions. As societies grapple with complex global challenges like climate change, inequality, and technological disruption, critical thinkers like you will be essential in finding innovative solutions and navigating difficult trade-offs. But perhaps the most exciting aspect of your journey in critical thinking is the personal growth and fulfillment it offers. As you continue to hone these skills, You'll find yourself becoming more confident in your decisions, more resilient in the face of challenges, and more capable of achieving your goals. You'll develop a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you, opening up new possibilities for personal and professional growth. Remember, the journey of critical thinking is never truly complete. There will always be new challenges to tackle, new ideas to explore, and new skills to develop. Embrace this ongoing process of growth and discovery. Let your curiosity be your guide, and your critical thinking skills be your tools for exploring the vast landscape of knowledge and experience that lies ahead. As we conclude this book, I want to leave you with a final thought. The skills you've developed are not just tools for personal success. They're a powerful force for positive change in the world. By thinking critically, communicating effectively, and reasoning ethically, you have the power to influence others, shape discussions, and contribute to solving the most pressing challenges of our time. So, as you close these pages and step out into the world, remember this: you are now equipped with one of the most powerful tools humanity has ever developed, the ability to think critically. Use it wisely, use it often, and use it to make a difference. The future is unwritten, and with your critical thinking skills as your guide, you have the power to shape it for the better. Thank you for embarking on this journey of critical thinking. Now, go forth and think critically, act wisely, and never stop learning. The world is waiting for thinkers like you to lead the way into a brighter, more reasoned future.